Hello. Hi. So, everything's a bit of a work in progress. Uh, I need to fucking fix chat. I need to sort it out so chat's just chilling there on the side there, cause yeah, I'd be honest, I had time to set this up, but due to uh problems and IRL stuff, I kind of just threw it all together today. So, forgive me in advance. This is on me. This is 100% a my fault thing. It's all good. I know. It's still I feel bad. Anyway, hi Ivan. Hi Lex. Hope you guys are doing well. So I did prepare a bit of music for this one as well. Um, this is gonna be the first time using music for said stuff, so we're gonna try it. I don't know if it's gonna be good, but you guys let me know. All right. This is the only thing I can think of since it is from Metro, and I do love the guitar sounds. But yeah. Hi, Havoc. Thank you for the hydrate. Ugh. First time actually putting music in my stream that isn't part of a game. Or any game. Alright, starting strong. Alrighty. Now, question is, maybe turn it down just a little? Okay. There you go. Actually, I'll turn it down for myself a little, and then turn it up in stream. There we go. Sweet. Okie dokie. So, last time, we were at chapter 2. How far were we from the start of chapter 2? Oh. Oh, we are very far. Oh yeah. We are very far, so I'm not restarting that chapter. Alright. Let's see. Let's start from back a little bit. Yes, we've met. Artyom managed to squeeze out his reply and reluctantly extend a hand to the visitor. Hunter's hand was hot and dry, and Artyom slowly started to convince himself that that it was just a dream. That there was nothing sinister about this person. That it was just his imagination, ignited with fear after 8 hours at the cordon playing out in his dreams. Listen, Artyom, do us a favor, boil some water for tea. Have you tried our tea? Sukahai winked at the visitor. A poisonous potion, I know it, but Hunter's not responded, nodding. Good tea. They make it at Pichnika too. Pig swill, but here it's different matter. Artyom went to get the water, then to communal fire to boil the kettle. It was strictly forbidden to make fires inside tents. A couple of the stations had burnt down due to a tent fire before now. On the way, he thought about Pecheniki. It was at the other end of this metro system, and who knows how long it would take to get there. How many transfers, crossings, though how many stations you'd have to go lying sometimes, fighting sometimes, other times getting through thanks to connections. And this guy says casually, they make it to Pechanika too. Yes, he's an interesting character, even if a little scary. His grip squeezes like a vice, and Artyom wasn't a weakling. He was always eager to compare strength with a good handshake. Having boiled the kettle, he returned to the tent. Hunter had already thrown his raincoat under which you could see a black polo neck jumper, tightly filled with a powerful neck and a bulge. That scared the shit out of me. I I just heard Caden's voice say, "You like jazz?" Like, whoa, oh, that scared me. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway. Hi, Kaden. Squeezes like a vice. Yeah. Pathanic bulging. Strong body and military trousers drawn tight with an officer's belt. Uh, on top of the polo neck, he was wearing a vest with lots of pockets, and a holster hung under his arm containing a burned-ish pistol of a monstrous size. Upon a close inspection, Artyom could see that it was a Stickin with a long silencer, and had something attached to it, which by the looks of it was a laser sight. A monster like that would cost you all you had. The weapon, Artyom noticed immediately, was not a simple one. Not for self-defense, that was for sure. And then he remembered that when Hunter introduced himself, he added, as someone who hunts. So Artyom, uh, pour the visitor some tea. Yes, and you, Hunter, take a seat. Tell us how you are. Sukai was excited. Devil knows how long it's been since I last saw you. I'll tell you about myself later. There's not much to say, but strange things are going on with you, I hear. Goblins are crawling around, coming from the north today. I was going a bit too fast. Sorry. Coming from the north. Today, I was listening to the fairy stories while standing with the patrol. What's up? Hunter spoke in a brief, choppy phrases. It's death, Hunter. Sakai's mood suddenly darkened. It's our death stealing up from the future. Our fate is creeping in. That's what it is. Why death? I heard that you crushed them very successfully, that they're disarmed. Well, where are they from? Where are they from? And how are they? I've never heard of something like this at any of the other stations. Never, and that means that isn't happening anywhere else. I want to know what's up. I'm sensing a great danger. I want to know the level of the danger. I want to understand its nature. That's why I'm here. Danger should be liquidated, right, Hunter? You're still a cowboy, Hunter. But can danger be liquidated? That's the question. Suka grinned sadly. That's the hitch. Everything here is more complicated than it seems to you. A lot more complicated. This is not just zombies and corpses walking across cinema screens. That's too simple. You load a revolver with silver bullets. Suki demonstrated by putting his palms together and pretending to point a pistol as he continued, Pow pow! And the forces of evil are slain. But this is something different. Something frightening. And as you well know, it's hard to scare me. You're panicking? Hunter asked. Surprised. Your main weapon is horror. The people are barely maintaining their position. People are sleeping with machine guns, of Uzis, and they're coming at us unarmed. And everyone knows that there's high qualities and quantities of them still to come. They are almost running away, going crazy from horror of it. Some have already gone crazy. Between you and me, this isn't just fair. Hunter, he lowered his voice. This, I don't know how to explain it to you plainly. It gets stronger every time. They're getting into our heads somehow. It seems to me that they're doing it on purpose. You can sense them from afar, and the feeling gets stronger and stronger. The agitation is so vile that your knees start to shake, and you can't hear anything yet, and you can't see anything. But you already know that they're coming nearer, nearer. And then there's a howl. You just want to run, but they're coming closer, and you're starting to shake. A little while, and a while later, you can see them walking with open eyes into the searchlights. Artyom shuddered. It seemed that he wasn't the only one tormented by nightmares. He used to try not to talk about it anymore. Before, he was afraid that they would take him for a coward or for a lunatic. They're crippling our minds. The reptiles, Suguro continued. And you know, it's like they adjusted themselves to your wavelengths. And next time they come, you feel them even more strongly, and you're even more afraid. This isn't just fear, I can tell you. He was silent. Hunter was sitting there without moving, studying him, and apparently thinking over what he'd heard. Then took a mouthful of hot brew and spoke, slowly and quietly. This is a threat to everyone, Suguro. To the whole filthy metro, not just to your station. Sukuho was silent, as though he didn't want to reply, but suddenly he bursts out. The whole metro, you think? No, not just the metro. This is a threat to the progress of mankind, which got itself into this trouble with its progress already. It's time to pay. It's a battle of the species, Hunter. A battle of species. And these Dark Ones are not evil spirits, and they aren't some kind of ghoul. This is a Homo novus, the next stage of evolution, better adapt to this environment than us. The future's behind them, Hunter. Maybe Homo sapiens will rot for another couple of decades, or another 50 in these demonic holes that we've dug for ourselves. Also, I just want to say, I'm really surprised that he actually said this is Homo novices, because in the game, when they're having this discussion, Dad actually says they're like some Homo novices, and I'm like, oh, he's in the line, he shouldn't shit. I'm very surprised. Let me get a playlist from Metro real quick. That way, it's not just the one same song going. Oh, maybe we could get the bar theme. Fuck's sake. I just look at, like, I type up Metro 2383 chill music, and it says the first one that comes up is music for reading Metro books. Okay. What did you send me, Kanem? Oh my god. Alright. Sure, let's try this thing. Actually, no, probably shouldn't, because it's gotta be... Here, we'll use this. That's not too bad. I like that. Alright. Alright. Okay, maybe it's a little... Yeah, maybe the star is a little not good. I don't want it to be too creepy, you know? House in a Heartbeat. Oh! That works. Sorry for fiddling with the music, guys. Alrighty. Alrighty. Oh, wait, no, this is the one that goes really hard, doesn't it? It must do, because it's got fucking a lot of views on it. Sorry, I'm fiddling with the music quite a bit. I'm trying to make sure that, you know, it isn't, what's the word I'm looking for? It isn't, you know, uh, too much. I want something chill. I suppose I could just use that first one. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? All right, let's try this. Alright. Okie dokie. This should be good. I'm down for whatever you put on. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's a stalker music. It works. Fuck it. Alright. Okay, maybe not. God, the Tism in me is like, nah. Fuck it, we'll just go back to the ambient soundtrack. If it gets too freaky, we'll change it up. Okay. Sorry. I'm an audiophile, okay? Look, I sit there and I'm like, I need to have the perfect sound for this moment. If it isn't right, then it just irritates me. And this is supposed to be a chill stream. But it's also Metro theme, so, you know. Okay. Where was I? Better adapt to the environment than us. The future's behind them, Hunter. Maybe Homo sapiens will rot for another couple of decades, or for another 50 in these demonic holes that we've dug for ourselves. Back when there was plenty, and not everyone could fit above ground, so the poor folk were driven underground in the daytime, we will become as pale and sick as the Wells Morlocks. Remember them? From the time machine where beasts from the future lived underground? They too were once Homo sapiens. Yes, we were optimistic. We don't want to. Oh, sorry. We don't want to die. We will cultivate mushrooms with our own dung, and the peg will become man's best friend, as they say, and our partner in survival. And we'll guzzle multivitamins with an appetizing crunch that were prepared by our careful ancestors in tones. We will shyly crawl up to the surface to quickly steal another canister of petrol, a few more rags, and if you're really lucky, a handful of cartridges, only to quickly run back down into the stuffy vaults, looking shiftily around like thieves to see if anyone's noticed, because we aren't at home there on the surface anymore. The world doesn't belong to us anymore, Hunter. The world doesn't belong to us anymore. Suko fell silent, looking at the steam slowly rising from his cup of tea and condensing in the twilight of the tent. Hunter said nothing, and Artyom suddenly realized that he had never heard anything like this from his stepfather. There was nothing left of his former confidence in the fact that everything would necessarily be fine. Nothing left to his "Don't panic, we'll get through it," and nothing left his. Sorry, the music threw me off. But I'm also paying attention to the music as well. And I'm like, what's good? What is it? I want this. What is this? Because this is a guitar. You know what? Fuck it. It's a bit quiet. Let me tune you up a little. There we go. Okay. Nothing finer to panic. We'll get through it, and nothing left of his encouraging winks. All was that, or just all for show. You don't have to say. You don't have anything to say, Hunter. Nothing. Go on, contradict me. Where are your arguments? Where is that optimism of yours? Last time when I spoke to you, you were certain that the levels of radiation would lower. The people would return to the surface again. Eh, Hunter? The sun will rise over the woods, but just not for me. Suko sang in his insing voice. Okay, maybe the music is picking up a little bit. Let's see. Do, 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 do. We'll seize life with our teeth. We'll hold on to it with all our strength. But what would the philosophers have said and Secretan, I don't know what that was, confirmed? If there was suddenly nothing to grab, you don't want to believe it. Can't believe it. But somewhere in the depths of your soul, you know that that's how it is. Christ. But we like this whole business, Hunter, don't we? Me and you, we really love living. We'll crawl through the stinking underground, sleep in the embrace with pigs, eat rats, but we will survive, right? Wake up, Hunter. No one will write a book without you called The Story of a Real Person. No one will sing about your will to live, your hypocritic instincts for self preservation. How long will you last on mushrooms, multivitamins, and pork? Surrender, Homo sapiens. You are no longer the king of nature. You've been dethroned. No, you don't have to die instantly. Nobody will insist on that. Crawl on a little more in agony, choking on your own excrement. But know this, Homo sapiens, you are obsolete. Evolution, the laws of which you understand, has already created its new branch, and you are no longer the latest stage. The crown of creation, you are a dinosaur. Now you must step aside for a new, more perfect species. No need to be egotistical. Game over. It's time you let others play. Your time is up. You're extinct. And let the future generations rack their brains over the question of what made Homo sapiens extinct. Though, I doubt anyone will be interested. Hunter, who is studying his fingernails through this monologue, raises his eyes to Sukuho and said gravely, "You really have given on up everything, Those fucking dogs. Hold on, I'll be right back. They're suddenly irritating me. So, I'll be right back, and hopefully they'll be quiet." Alright, I'm here. Oh, fuck. I didn't realize Dragon was here. Hey, friendos, I'm out and about driving around some shopping before my trip. I wanted to drop by and wish you a fun stream and have a good day. Aww. Thank you, Ivan. Sorry it took me a bit. My fucking dogs are outside having a go at, I think, my mom? I'm not sure what they were barking at, really, but they were just going hectic, so I'm like, I cannot read it while they're barking. Alright. Let's see. Hunter, who is studying his fingernails through this monologue, raised his eyes to Sukuho and said gravely, "You really have given up on everything since I last saw you. I remember that you were telling me that if we preserve culture, if we don't turn sour, if we don't stop using proper Russian, our children learn to read and write, then we'll be fine and we'll last here underground. Didn't you say that? Or wasn't it you? And now look. Look at look at you. Surrendered. Homo sapiens. What the hell is that? Hold on, next page. Yeah, we'll just figure out a thing or two. Hunter, I have yeah, well, I just figured out a thing or two, Hunter. I have felt something which you have yet to get. And maybe you'll never get. We are dinosaurs. We are living the last days of our life. It might take 10 or even 100 years, but all the same. Resistance is futile, right? Hunter offered in a mean voice. What are you driving at? Sukuho was silent, his eyes downcast. Clearly, this had cost him a lot, having never admitted his weakness to anybody, or said much to an old friend. Even worse, that it was right in front of Artyom. It was painful to him to hold up the white flag. But no, you won't wait, Hunter said slowly, standing up to a full height. They won't wait. New species, you say? Evolution? Inevitable extinction? Dung? Pigs? Vitamins? I'm not there yet. I'm not afraid of it either. Got it? I'm not putting my hand up to volunteer. The instinct or self-preservation, you call that? Yes. I will sink my teeth into life. Fuck your evolutions. Let other species wait their turn. I'm not a lamb being led to slaughter. Capitulate and go off with your more perfect and more adapted beings. Give them your place in history if you feel that you've fought all you can fight. Then go ahead and desert. I won't judge you, but don't try to scare me, and don't try to drag me along with you into the slaughterhouse. Why are you giving me a sermon? If you don't do it alone, if you need it to do it collectively, you won't be so ashamed. Or has the enemy poisoned you a bowl, promised you a bowl of hot porridge for each person that you bring to them in captivity? My foe is hopeless. You say that we're at the edge of the abyss. I spit on your abyss. If you think that you're the places at the bottom of the abyss, then take a deep breath and forward march. But I'm not coming for the ride. If rational men refined the civilized Homo sapiens choose to capitulate them, ca- fuck me, I feel like I'm skipping things. If a rational man refined and civilized Homo sapiens choose to capitulate, maybe it's copulate. Anyway, then I refuse to be called one and would rather become a beast. And I will, like a beast, sink my teeth into life and gnaw on on the throats of others in order to survive. I will survive. Got it? I will survive. He sat down and quietly asked Artyom for another splash of tea. Sukuho stood up for himself and went to fill the heat in the kettle. The heat and fill and heat the kettle, gloomily and silently. Artyom stayed in the tent alone with Hunter. His last words were ringing with contempt. His malicious confidence that he would survive lit in a fire in Artyom. For a long time, he was trying to decide whether to say something. Then Hunter turned to him and said, "What do you think, my friend? Tell me. Don't be shy." You want to turn into vegetation too, like a dinosaur, to sit on things and wait until someone comes for you. Do you know the Do you know the parable about the frog and the cream? Two frogs land in a pail of cream. One, thinking rationally, understood straight away that there was no point in resistance, and that you can't deceive destiny. But then, what if there's an afterlife? Why bother jumping around, entertaining false hopes in vain? He crossed his legs and sank into the bottom. The second, the fool, was probably an atheist, sorry, was an atheist, and she started to flop around. It would seem that she had no reason to fail about the reason to flail, sorry, about everything was predestined, but she flopped around and flopped around anyway. Meanwhile, the cream turned to butter, and she crawled out. We honored the memory of the second frog's friend, eternally damned for the sake of her progress and rational thought. Who are you, Artyom? Who are you? Artyom ventured at last. Who am I? You already know who I am. The one who hunts. But what does that mean? The one who hunts. What do you do, hunt? What do you hunt? No, sorry. He said, what do you do? Hunt? How can I explain it to you? You know the human body is built. It's made up of billions of tiny cells. Some emit electrical signals, some store information, others still soak up nutrients, transfer oxygen, but all of them, even the most important of them, would be dead in less than a day, and the whole organism would die. If it wasn't for the cell's responsibility for immunity, they're called microphages. They work methodically and regularly, like a clock, a metronome. When infection gets into an organism, they find it, track it down, wherever it's hiding, and sooner or later they get to it. And he made a gesture as though he was wringing someone's neck and let out an unpleasant crunching sound. Liquidate it. But that relevance does that have you to do? But what relevance does that have to your job? Artyom insisted. Imagine that the whole metro was a human organism, a complex organism made up of about 40,000 cells. I am the macrophage, the hunter. This is my job. Any danger that is sufficiently serious as a threat to the whole organism must be liquidated. That's what I do. Sukaho finally came back with a kettle and poured the boiling brew into the mugs. He had obviously gathered his thoughts in the meantime, and said to Hunter, So, you're going to take on the liquidation of the source of danger, cowboy? You're going to go hunting and shoot down the Dark Ones? It's hardly possible that anything will come of it. There's nothing to be done, Hunter. Nothing. There's always one last option, the last resort, to blow your northern tunnels to pieces, collapse it completely, to cut off that new species of yours, let them procreate from above, and leave us moles alone. The underground is now our natural habitat. I'll tell you something interesting. Only a few people know about this at the station. They're already blown up one tunnel, but above us, above the northern tunnel, there is a stream of groundwater. And when they blew up the second northern tunnel, we were almost flooded. If the explosion had just been a bit stronger, goodbye, my dear VDNKH. So, if we now blew up the remaining northern tunnels, then we'll be flooded, and we'll be covered in radioactive swill. Then that will be the end of us. Not only for us, therein lies the real danger to the Metro. If you start an interspecies battle now, in this way, then our species will lose. And as they say in chess, check. What about the Hermit Gate? Surely we can simply close the Hermit Gate in the tunnel, Hunter said. The Hermit Gate was already dismantled, along with the rest of the line's gates 15 years ago, by some smart guys, and they sent the material to the fort, one of the stations. No one remembers which one anymore, Surely you knew about this. There you go. Check again. Sorry, I need to have a bit of water. I feel the need for the ship. Brilliant. Okay. Da, da, da. Trying to find where I was. Oh, here we go. Tell me, have they increased their pressure recently? Hunter, it seems they were conceding and shifting the conversation to another tack. Increasing? And how? It's hard to believe that it was only a little while ago that we didn't even know they exist. And now, here they are, a major threat. And believe me, the day is near when they will sweep us away with all of our fortifications, searchlights, and machine guns. It's impossible to raise the whole metro to defend one good for nothing station. Yes, we make pretty good tea, but it's unlikely that anyone will risk their life even for such excellent tea as ours. In the end, there's always competition with Pecheniki. Check again, Suki grinned sadly. No one needs us. We ourselves will not be in any condition to handle the onslaught. We can't blow up the tunnel and cut them off. We also don't have the means to go to the surface and burn them down. For obvious reasons. Checkmate. Checkmate to you, Hunter, and checkmate to me. Checkmate to all of us in the near future. If you see what I mean. Sukuho grinned sourly. We'll see, Hunter snapped back. We'll see. Oh, there's a bit of hair. Good, stay hydrated. Thank you. They sat there a little longer, discussing all kinds of things. Many of the names mentioned weren't familiar to Artyom. There were references to bits and pieces of story. Every once in a while, an old argument would spark up, of which Artyom understood little, but their discussions had clearly been going on for years, abating if men hadn't seen each other, abating if the men hadn't seen each other in a while, and flaring up again when they met. Finally, Hunter stood up and said it was time he went to bed, because he, unlike Artyom, hadn't slept since his patrol. He said goodbye to Sukuho, but before leaving, he suddenly turned to Artyom and whispered to him, "Come out for a minute." Artyom jumped up straight away and followed him, not paying attention to the surprised look on his stepfather's face. Hunter waited for him outside, silently buttoning up his raincoat and lifting the latch on the gate. "Shall we go through?" he suggested, and he quickly stepped forward onto the platform towards the guest tents where he was staying. Artyom hesitantly moved to follow him, trying to guess what the man wanted to discuss with him. A mere boy, really, who had done nothing significant or even useful for anyone so far. "What do you think about the job that I do?" Hunter asked. "It's cool. I mean, if it wasn't for you, well, and others like you, if there are such people, then we would have long ago." Artyom mumbled uncomfortably. His tongue was twisted, and he felt hot suddenly. As soon as someone like Hunter paid him attention and wanted to tell him something, even just asking him to come outside for a minute to be alone without his stepfather, he blushed like a virgin and started agonizing, bleating like a lamb. "You think highly of it then? Of it? Well then, if people think highly of it," Hunter grinned, "then that means there's no point in listening to the defeatists among us. Your stepfather is being a coward, that's all. But he's really brave man. In any case, he was once. Something horrific is happening here, Artyom. Something that can't be allowed to continue. Your stepfather's right. These aren't just goblins with Sorry, I missed something. Something that can't be to continue. Your stepfather is right. These aren't just goblins we've seen at dozens of other stations. These aren't vandals. They're not just degenerates. This is something new, something meaner. There's a chill in the air. There's death in the air. I've only been here 2 days and I'm already being penetrated by the fear here. And the more you know about them, the more study them, the more you study them, the more you see them, the stronger the fear. As I the stronger the fear, as far as I understand. You, for example, have seen them often. Only once so far. I've only just started on the Northern Patrol, though Artyom confessed. But if I'm honest, once was enough. I've been tortured by nightmares ever since, like today, for example, and it was a while ago that I saw them. Nightmares, you say? You too? Hunter frowned. Yes, it doesn't look like a coincidence. And if I live here a bit longer, another couple months, and I go patrols regularly, then it's not out of the question that I'll turn sour too. No, my lad, your stepfather is mistaken. It isn't him speaking. It's not his thinking. It's them thinking for him, and it's them speaking for him. Give up, they say. Resistance is futile, and he's the mouthpiece. He probably doesn't even know it himself. And it's right. I guess that they tune in and impress themselves on the psyche. Fiends. Tell me, Artyom. Hunter turned to him straight on, and the boy understood. Well, fucking hell. My brain just went buh for like a split second. Hold on, let me reread this. um Give up as they say, resistance is futile, and he's their mouthpiece, and he probably doesn't even know it himself. And it's right. I guess that they tune in and impress themselves on the psyche. Fiends. Tell me, Artyom. Hunter turned to him straight on, and the boy understood. He was about to tell him something really important. Do you have a secret? Something that you wouldn't tell anyone in the station, but that you could tell a passerby, perhaps? Well, Artyom hesitated, and for a prospective person, that would have been enough in order to understand that such a secret existed. And I have a secret too. Why don't we swap? I need to share the secret with someone, but I want to be sure that they won't blab. That's why you're going to give me yours. And don't let it be any crap about a girl, but something serious, something that no one else should ever hear. And I'll tell you something. This is important to me. Very important. You understand? Ooh. Artyom wavered. Curiosity, of course, had got to him, but he was frightened of telling his secret to a man who was not only interesting to talk to and who had seen many adventure, but by the look of the things was also cold-blooded murderer who wouldn't hesitate in the sunlight, the slightest movement, or the slightest to remove any obstacle in his path. And what if Artyom happened to have been an accessory to the incursion of the Dark Ones? Hunter looked into his eyes reassuringly. You have nothing to be afraid of in me. I guarantee inviolability. And he winked frantic, far fraternally. Goodness me. If they had walked up to the guest tents, that would have been given. Oh, sorry. They had walked up to the guest tents that had been given to Hunter for the night, but they remained outside. Artyom fought to get in for the last time and decide what to do. He took in some ill air, then hurried, in one breath, laid out the whole story of the expedition to the botanical gardens. When he was finished, Hunter was silent for a time. digesting what he had heard. Then, in a hoarse voice, he said, "Well, generally speaking, you and your friends should have been killed for doing that. For the disciplinary point of view, however, I already guarantee your inviolability. That doesn't extend to your friends." Artyom's heart jumped. He felt his body freeze in fear and his legs falter. He wasn't able to speak, so he waited in silence for the verdict. "But in light of your age and general brainlessness, brainlessness, for God, how mean, of that event, also the fact that it happened a while ago, you are pardoned, gone, and so that Artyom could be brought out of his prostration sooner." Hunter winked again at him, this time even more reassuringly. "But know that you'd be shown no mercy by your fellow inhabitants at the station. So you have voluntarily given over to me a powerful weapon against you. And now listen to my secret." While Artyom was regretting his big mouth, Hunter continued. Honestly, I think Artyom kind of made a right choice to tell Hunter the secret, because, like, while what he did when he was younger was really, really bad, he can't tell anyone, because if he did, that's kind of like, the whole reason the Dark Ones are basically doing the shit, right? So it's like, it's rough for him to really make the choice. But honestly, I'm excited to see where this is going. This has got me on the hooks, man. I'm enjoying this. Okay. Hunter continued. "I haven't come across the whole metro system to this station for no reason. I'm not giving up on my own task. Dangers should be eliminated, as you've probably heard many times today, and should and will be eliminated. I do that. Your stepfather is afraid of it. He is slowly turning into the instrument. As far as I can see, he is resisting them more and more reluctantly, and he's trying to get me to join him. If the groundwater thing is true, then the option of exploring the tunnel is, of course, obsolete. But your story has clarified something for me. If the Dark Ones first made their way here after your expedition, then they're coming from the botanical gardens. Something has been growing there, and that isn't right. That in that botanical garden, if they're fuck. Okay, I'm gonna take another swig of water and then have another reread. Oop! I accidentally dropped my cup, or Gamer Subs cup, on a fucking spoon. My bad. Alright. Da, 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 da. Let's see. As far as I can see, he's resisting them more and more reluctantly, and he's trying to get me to join him. If the groundwater thing is true, then the option of exploring the tunnel is, of course, obsolete. But your story has clarified something for me. If the Dark Ones first made their way here after your expedition, then they're coming from the botanical gardens. Something has been growing there that isn't right in the botanical gardens. If that's where they were born, then that means that you can block them there, close to the surface, without the threat of unleashing the groundwaters. But the devil knows what's happening at the 700th meter of the northern tunnel. That's where your powers end. That's where the powers of darkness begin. The most widespread from the government in the whole Moscow metro system. I'm going there. No one should know this. Tell Sukuho that I asked you lots of questions about conditions at the station, and that will be the truth. You don't have to explain anything, right? If everything goes smoothly, I'll explain everything to whoever needs to know. But it might be that he stopped short for a second and looked at Artyom more closely. That I don't come back. Whether there's an explosion or not, if I don't come back before the following morning, someone should say what's happening to me, and tell my colleagues about the fiends that they are making trouble in your northern tunnels. I have seen all my former acquaintances here at the station today, including your stepfather, and I feel I almost see that there's a little worm of doubt and horror crawling through the brains of everyone who is exposed to their influence. I can't rely on people with worm eaten brains. I need a healthy person whose ability to reason has not yet been stormed by these ghouls. I need you. Me? But how can I help? Artyom was surprised. Listen to me. If I don't come back, then you have to, at any cost, you hear? Have to go to Polis, to Gorod, and look for a man with the nickname Milnik. Tell him the whole story. And one other thing, I will give you something, which you will give to him as proof I sent you. Come inside it for a minute. Hunter took the lock off the entrance, lifted the flap of the tent, and ushered Artyom inside. Hi! Hi, Ducky. Ugh. Also, Ducky. Looky, I put the redeem back. Your redeem, specifically. Yippee! Yatta! Hi, Vivi. Hi, puppy. I love it. How you doing today, Ducky? You doing alright? Hello, Vivi, darling. Hello, puppy. Vivi's being very needy. Alright. I wanna switch the music up real quick. Nope, not that. Go away. Oh, no, that's not right. Alright, we'll use this one. We'll go back here again. I'm doing good. I'm just tired and waiting for my laptop to arrive on the 28th. Ooh! I hope it's a good laptop. Hi, Zero. Hi, pretty kitty. We got one more page to go, and then we finally hit chapter 3. And there's a fucking ad incoming. Alright, I'll try and read as quick as I can. Listen to me, there's a bit of a Melnick to there wasn't much room in the tent due to the huge camouflage rucksack and impressively large trunk which was standing on the floor. By the light of the lantern, Artyom saw a dark, shimmering gun barrel in the depths of the bag, which, by the looks of it, was a resembling army hand machine gun. Before Hunter could manage to close the bag so he wouldn't see, Artyom caught a glimpse of a matte black metal box containing a machine gun magazines laid in dense row to the weapon, and small green anti-personnel grenades on the other side of it, sorry. Read, kitty person, read. I'm reading, me. Without any commentary on his arsenal, Hunter opened the side pocket of his rucksack and withdrew a small metal capsule. From it, made a machine gun cartridge case. The side. Fuck it. Don't lick me! Without any commentary, blah blah blah. Machine gun cartridge case. The side where there should have been a bullet has scrawled up onto a little twist. Here, take this. Don't wait for me. I've been gone for 2 days. And don't be afraid. You'll meet people everywhere who will help you. You have to do this. You know that everything depends on you. I don't have to explain that to you, right? That's it. Wish me success and get out of here. I need to catch up on some sleep. Artyom managed to utter a word of goodbye, shook Hunter's hand, and started wandering over to his tent, stooping under the weight of the mission on his shoulders. Chapter 3, If I Don't Come Back. Alright. Have a little break. I'm going to get some water, go toilet. So if you guys need to, feel free to do the same. And yeah, I'll be right back. Also, let me know how the music is, if the music's any good or anything. Alright. Be right back. Motherfuckers got me drinking water even though I'm not fucking here. What the fuck? I fucking love the music for Metro. I I've always been a fan of guitar stuff when I was a kid, cause like I love guitars. It was just such a shame that like I didn't get to do more guitar stuff. I I had a tutor that was teaching me, but suddenly she stopped teaching me. She just stopped coming by, and it's like, oh, cool, great, and I stopped learning guitar. I used to be able to play "We Will Rock You" on the guitar, but then, well, kind of stopped, so I've gone rusty. But anyway, you're right. I should have water. I should hydrate. Thank you for the head pat. I need to fucking fix that. Wait, does that redeem not work well in this chat? It doesn't. Brilliant. That means I need to fix that at some point. I'm gonna have to ask Autumn or someone to help me with that. Anyway. But yeah. This is still a work in progress. Hi, Nana! Okay, that's enough. We don't need that. What else is there in the playlist? What's Ghost Tunnel? That's actually really nice. Yeah, hi Nana. Yes, drink all the water, please. I will drink as much as I can. Alright. There you go. Water drinkage. Okie dokie. Also, I I really, really want to show you guys um some like some music that thank you for the treats. I want to show you guys some music that I've seen people make based on Metro Cutie. What do you mean? No, no, not me. Nuh-uh. You no proof. Nuh-uh. Anyway, I want to show you guys some of the music, but I don't know if I'm allowed to because they're, YouTubers stuff. Maybe if I like uncensored the mod, maybe the cutest kid. Fuck off! Hi, Ballistic. Oh, 6-7. Oh, pointing. Oh, oh, oh. Good kitty. What the fuck? How you doing, B? You doing alright? There's guitar with female vocals. Oh, it's this one. Sure. Alright. Could be better, could be worse. Well, I hope things get better, bud. Okay. Chapter 3. If I don't come back. Love you, cat. Love you too, ducky. Okay. Let me turn this down just a little. I'll turn it up for you guys. There we go. Okay. I'm home now, so things are looking up. I'm glad. Artyom was sure he would be cross-examined as soon as he got home. His stepfather would shake him down, trying to find out what he spoke about with Hunter. But contrary to his expectations, his stepfather wasn't waiting for him with a rack and Spanish boots, but was snoring peacefully. He hadn't had a chance to sleep in the last 24 hours since he'd been on night patrol and slept that day. Artyom was again going to have to work the night shift, this time at the tea factory. Decades of life underground in the darkness interspersed, the fuck, with patches of dull red light makes you lose a true sense of day and night. At night, the station's lighting was a little weaker, as it was on the trains for long ago, so that people could sleep, but the lights never went completely. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I need to clear my throat. Let's see. A little weaker as it was on the trains a while ago, so that people could sleep, but the lights never went out completely, except in the case of an accident. Though it had become aggravated by the years of living in the darkness. Human vision was nonetheless comparable with eyesights of other creatures that lived in the tunnels and abandoned passages. The divisions of day and night had probably come about by force of habit rather than necessity. Night made sense because the majority of inhabitants at the station were more comfortable with the idea of everyone sleeping at the same time, letting the cattle rest, turning down the lights, and imposing restrictions on noise. The inhabitants of the station could find out the time by the two stations' clocks placed over the entrance to the tunnels on either side. These clocks were considered to be important as strategic objects, like the arms store and the water filters and the electric generator. They were always looked after, and the smallest problems with them were immediately dealt with, and any delinquents attempting to take. Hold on, flipping the page. Water! Okay. You got it. There we go. Brilliant. Alrighty. Whew. Them down there were dealt with very strictly, sometimes sent into exile from the station. Here there was a criminal code by which the VDNKH judged criminals in swift trials. It was always being applied to extraordinary stations, which were resolved, and then new rules were established. Oh, I want to change the music again. God, I'm indecisive. I very much like Ghost Tunnel, though. I think this is very good for right now. Okay. Let's see. A reply: Judge criminals in swift trials, and it was always being applied to the extraordinary stations, which were resolved, and then new rules were established. Any actions against strategic objects brought about the most severe punishments for smoking and setting of fires on platforms, as well as the careless handling of weapons and explosives. You would be immediately expelled from the station and your property confiscated. These Dracian measures can be explained by the fact that several stations had already been burnt to nothing. Fire spread instantly through the small tent cities, devouring everything, and the wild screams of awful pain would echo in the ears of the neighboring stations for months afterwards. Charred bodies stuck to melted plastic and canvas, and sets of teeth cracked with inconceivable heat of the flames, gnashed in the light of the lanterns held by frightened traders who had accidentally come upon this traveler's hell. In order to avoid the reputation of such grim fates in the rest of the stations, the careless setting of fires became a serious criminal offense. Theft, sabotage, and deliberate avoidance of labor were also punished with exile, but considering that almost everyone was always visible to each other and there were only 200 or so people at the station, these kinds of crimes were rare and usually perpetrated by strangers. Labor was compulsory, and everyone young and old had to fulfill a daily quota. The pig farm, the mushroom plantation, the tea factory, the meat packing plant, the fire, and the engineer services, the weapon shop, every inhabitant worked in one or two of these places. Men were also required to go on military duty in one of the tunnels once every 48 hours, and when some kind of conflict arose or some new danger appeared from the depths of the metro, the patrols were strengthened, and they put a reserve force on the pathways at the ready. Life was so meticulously arranged here, and VDNKH had an established such a reputation for it that they were many wishing that to live there, but it was very rare for outsiders to be taken into the settlement. There was a few more hours until his night shift at the tea factory, and Artyom, not knowing what to do with himself, trudged over to see his friend Zenya, the same one who he undertook the headspring adventure to the surface. Zenya was his age, but unlike Artyom, he lived with his own real family, his father and mother and younger sister. There was only a handful of incidents where a whole family had been saved, and Artyom secretly envied his friend. Of course, he loved his stepfather very much and respected him, even now that the man's nerves had got the better of him. But nevertheless, he knew that Tsukio wasn't his father, and wasn't his kin altogether. He never called him Dad. At the beginning, Sukaho asked Artyom to call him Uncle Sasha, but later regretted it. Years had gone by, and the old tunnel wolf hadn't managed to start a family of his own. He didn't even have a woman who waited for him to return from expeditions. His heart would beat harder when he saw a mother and child, and he dreamed about the possibility that one day he wouldn't have to go out into the darkness, disappearing from the life of the station for days and weeks and maybe forever. And then he hoped that he would find a woman who would be prepared to be his wife and to bear him children, which, when they learnt to speak, would not call him Uncle Sasha, but father. Old age and feebleness were getting ever closer, and there were less and less time remaining. He needed to hurry, but all the same, it would be hard to pull off. Task followed task, and he couldn't find anyone to take over his work, no one to trust his connections and his professional secrets in order to finally start doing some non-manual work at the station. That gave me a bit of a struggle because I'm like, oh. He had already long considered doing work that was a bit more peaceful, and he had even knew that he could fill back on a supervisory role at the station. Thanks to his authority, his stellar recording, and his friendly relations with the administration, but for now, there was no one capable of replacing him, not even on the horizon. So he entertained himself with the thoughts of a happy future, and he lived for today, postponing his final return and continuing to spend his sweat and blood for the sake of gr- granite of other stations and the concrete of far off tunnels. I don't think I'm saying that right. Anyway, Artyom knew that his father, despite showing fatherly love towards him, didn't think of him as a successor in professional matters, and mostly thought of Artyom as a nitwit. Aw, that's mean! And completely undeserving of such responsibility. He didn't take Artyom on long expeditions, ignoring the fact that Artyom had grown and could no longer be persuaded that he was still too young and that zombies would drag him off or rats would eat him. He didn't understand. I genuinely do not know if zombies exist in this universe because there weren't really zombies in the Metro games. There were um what am I thinking? They were essentially like corpses all over the place, but none of them came back to life. They were mutant creatures. The only type of humanoid enemies that I can think of was in Metro Exodus, which they're not even zombies. They're just a type of humans that are de-evolutionized. They're like apes in a way. I don't know really how much to describe them other than they're not smart. They walk on all fours. They look human, but they're not. I actually let me see if I can fucking find them. Let's see. Not the blind ones. I'm thinking of a different type. What mutant am I thinking of? Okay, it's telling me that the blind ones are the ones I'm thinking of, but that's not it. Okay. Humanimals. Let me pull up a picture for you guys. Hold on. Reading. Actually, I could just do this. Yeah, that's what they look like. They look like these things, which honestly, they're not like. Again, they're not zombies. They're just humans that have like turned animalistic. Yeah, very creepy. I wanted to make sure you knew, Lex, because I knew you don't have a real fan of zombies. So yeah, don't worry. There aren't any zombies in the Metro universe. I think the zombies is just might be a translation thing in the book, but we'll see. We'll see what they've got. They're very creepy, but they're also very silly. They'll just come up to you and try smacking you. I love the Metro universe, dude. It's so cool. You know what I should do? Weird little fellas. Yeah. Okay. You know what I should do? I should do like maybe for like a break for the book, we should do the Metro universe. Like actually play the Metro games, and then if we ever run out, I do have one kind of Metro-y feely type of a game. I can't remember what it was called, but it's something that has been like on my thing to play for a hot minute. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Hey, you know what? Worry about that later. We got a book to read, so we'll do that. Okay. Okay. Expressing a lack of confidence in Artyom, he had pushed the boy into desperate escapades, of which Sukuho had to punish him afterwards. He had probably wanted not to subject Artyom to the senseless mortal danger of wandering the metro, but allow the boy to live the way Sukuho wanted to live himself, in a peace and safety, working and raising children, not wasting his youth unnecessarily, but in wanting such a life for Artyom, He was forgetting to strive for such a life himself, and had passed through the fire and water, had succeeded in surviving hundreds of adventures, and was satisfied with them, and his wisdom acquired with years wasn't speaking to him anymore. After all that spoke to him were the years themselves and fatigue they brought. Artyom had energy boiling inside him. He had only just started living, and the prospect of drudging through vegetative existence of crumbling and dying mushrooms and changing dis- diapers and never going beyond the 500 meters seemed absolutely inconceivable. The desire to get away from the station grew in him every day as he understood more and more clearly what life his stepfather was molding for him: a career as a tea factory worker, and the role of a father with many children was less appealing than anything on earth. Hi, Kana. How you doing? Also, I need to get that fucking worked. Yeah, we're reading Metro 2033. So apologies if I'm rough. This is my second time reading out the chat. But yeah, hi. Hope you're having a good day, bud. Um, Anything on Earth? He was drawn to adventure, wanted to be carried along like tumbleweed in the droughts, and to follow these droughts into uncertainty, to meet his fate. And that's what Hunter probably saw in him, asking him to take part in a venture of such enormous risks. This Hunter follow had a subtle sense of smell when it came to people, and after an hour of conversation, he understood that he could propose the plan to Artyom. Even if Artyom didn't ever get to the designated place, at least there was prospect of living the station. Fuck me, leaving the station in accordance with his orders in the event that something should happen to Hunter at the Botanical Gardens, and the hunter wasn't mistaken in his choice. Luckily, Xenia was at home, and now Artyom could pass the evening discussing the latest gossip and having conversations about the future over strong tea. Great! His friend exclaimed. In response to Artyom's greeting, "You're also on night duty at the factory today. They put me there too. I'm so sick of it that I wanted to ask the boss to switch me, but they put you there with me, so that's fine. I can handle it. You were on patrol today, right? Well, tell me. I heard you had a state of emergency there. What happened?" Artyom cast a sidelong look at Xenia's young sister with a great emphasis, as she had become so interested in the conversation that she had stopped stuffing mushroom waste into the rag doll that her mother had sewn for her. They're throwing mushrooms in everything, dude. um, I was watching them with bated breath and round eyes from the corner of the tent. "Listen, little one," Xenia said strictly, having understood what Artyom meant. "You now go on, get out of here with your little thing, and go play at the neighbors. I think Katya invited you over. We have to be nice to our neighbors, so go on, and take your dollies with you." The little girl squeaked indignantly and started to gather her things with a gloomy look on her face, meanwhile making suggestions to her doll, who was blankly looking up at the ceiling with her sim erased eyes. "You think you're so important. I know everything anyway. You're going to talk about your mushroom," she said contemptuously as she left. The fuck? "You, Linka, are still too small to discuss mushrooms. The milk on your lips hasn't even dried yet." Artyom put her in her place. "What milk?" the girl asked, puzzled, touching her lips. But neither of them bothered to explain, and the question hung in the air. When she left, "Do you mind?" "Apparently you do." "Oi." "No. Probably just mum." "Leave off." "No." I appreciate you looking out for me, Vivi, but no. Okay. When she left, Xenia fastened the flaps of the tent and asked, "Well, what happened? Go on, spill it. I've heard quite a lot about it already. One guy says that a huge rat crawled out of the tunnel. Another guy says that you scared off a spy from the Dark Ones, and that you even wounded him. Who should I believe?" "Don't believe anyone," Artyom advised. "They're all lying. It was a dog, a little puppy. Andre the Marine picked it up. He said that it was a German Shepherd." Artyom smiled. "Yeah, but I heard from Andre that it was a rat," Xenia said, perplexed. "Did he lie on purpose or what? You don't know? That's his favorite catchphrase. The one that rats the size of pigs. He's a comedian, you see," Artyom responded. "So, what's new with you? What have you heard from the boys?" Xenia's friends were traders, delivering teas and pork to the market of Prospect Mir. They brought back multivitamins, cloth, and all sorts of junk. Sometimes they even got a hold of oil. Sometimes they'd bring dirt-stained books, often with pages missing, which had mysteriously ended up at Prospect Mir. Having traveled through half the metro system, passing from one trunk to the next, from one pocket to the next, from one merchant to another. What's the time? We got 30 minutes left. Oh, brilliant. Oh, no. The new Killer from Dead by Daylight's out. Oh, no. That means I'm going to have to do that later. Oh, God. Great. All right. Anyway. Before finding their rightful owners, the VDNKH, they were proud of the fact that despite their distance from the center and the main trade routes, the settlers there were able to not just survive conditions that worsened every day, but to maintain, at least within the station, human culture, which was quickly dying out underground. The administration of the station had strived to give this issue as much attention as possible. It was mandatory to teach children to read, and the station even had its own small library, to which all books that they managed to acquire at markets were added. The problem was that the traders didn't really choose the books. They just brought what they were given and they collected it as was scrap paper. I need to take a swig. Nope, don't flip back over. I need you right there. Out of curiosity, how many pages till the next chapter? Nope. So it's page 66. We're at page 50. So we got about. I can't do math. 16 more pages? Yeah, that sounds right. Alright. Oh. But the attitude of the people at the station towards books was such that they wouldn't trip even one page out of the silliest pulp fiction. People revered books as though they were relics, as a final reminder of the wonderful world that had sunk into oblivion. Adults who held sacred every second of memoir they read transferred this love of books to their children, who had nothing to remember of the other world and only knew the endless intersecting and gloomy tunnels, corridors, and passages. In the metro, there were just a few places where the written word was idolized like this, and the inhabitants of VDNKH considered themselves to be one of the last strongholds of culture, the northernmost post civilization, Kul Zuko Rizkaline. Artyom also read books, and Xenia did too. Xenia awaited the return of his friends from the market, and when they arrived, he would rush up to them and ask if they brought anything new. And so, books almost always got into Xenia's hands first, and then they went to the library. Artyom's stepfather brought him books from the expedition, and they had almost a whole bookshelf of books in their tent. The books lay on the shelf, yellowing and sometimes a little gnawed by mold and rats, sometimes sprinkled with brown specks of blood. They had things that no one else had, and at the station, and perhaps in the whole metro system. Marquez, Kafka, Borges, Vane, and some Russian classics. The guys didn't bring anything this time, said Xenia. Leka says that there will be a load of books coming soon from a guy in Polis. He promised to bring a couple here. I'm not talking about books, Artyom waved Xenia away. But what have you heard? What's the situation? Situation? Nothing, it seems. There are all sorts of rumors, of course, but that's no different from the usual. You know yourself that the traders can't survive without their gossip and stories. They'd wither straight away if you didn't feed them a few rumors. But whether you should believe their rubbish is another question. It looks as though all's quiet. If you compare it with the times when Hansa was at war with the Reds, that is. But wait, he remembered something. On Prospect Mer, they have forbidden the sale of weed. Now, if they find any weed on traders, they will confiscate it all and will chuck him out with the station and put it on his record too. If they find any on you a second time, Leka says, they won't let you enter Hansa for a few years, and that's a death to a trader. That's so cute, Ducky. Come on, what? They've just forbidden it? What are they thinking? They say that they decided that it's a drug since it affects the way you see things, and that your brain starts to corrode if you Take it too often. They're like doing it for health reasons? They should take care of their own health. Why are they worrying about all of ours all of a sudden? You know what? Zinnia said in a low voice. Leka says that they're putting all sorts of misinfo about things that are bad for your health. What misinfo? Artyom asked, surprised. Misinformation. Here, listen. Leka once went along the line past Prospect Mir. He made it to Sakhavuskaya. He was doing some dark business. Wouldn't even say what it was. And there he met an interesting old guy, a magician. Who? Artyom couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. A magician? At Silverskaya? Come on, he's having you on. You're Leka. And what, a magician gave him a magic wand? Or a stick that turns into a flower? You're an idiot, Xenia was offended. You think you know it all? Just because you haven't met a magician doesn't mean there aren't any. Do you believe in the mutants at Fly Vicky? Who needs to believe? They're there. That's pretty clear. My stepfather told me about them, but I've never met anything about heard anything about magicians. Even though I have a lot of respect for Sukaho, I don't think he knows everything in the whole world either. Maybe he wanted just to scare you. Basically, if you don't want to hear about it, then screw you. Okay, Xenia, go ahead. It's interesting anyway. Even if it sounds like Artyom Grimm. Okay. Okay. They were spending the night by the fire. No one you know lives permanently at Siverskaya. So the traders from the other stations stopped there because Hansa authorities set them off from Prospect Mir after lights out. And well, the whole crowd hangs around, various charlatans and thieves. They all stick to the traders, and various wanderers rest there too, before heading south. So, in tunnels beyond Silverskaya, Some kind of ruckus begins. Nobody lives there, not rats, not mutants, and people try to pass through the tunnels mostly disappear. Just disappear without a trace. Beyond Silverskaya. The next station is Tervskaya. It's next to the Red Line. There was a passage to Chestya Purdy there, but the Reds have named it Kiev again. Some communist was called that, they say. People were too afraid to live near the station. They all walked up the passage, and now Tervskaya is there, empty, abandoned. So the tunnels there from Shukhavskaya to the nearest human settlement is a long way. And there, holy, my brain just died. I physically went, God damn. Okay. Da, 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 da. If people go, I thought I heard a boop sound, and I was like, what? What was that? Okay. If people go one by one, then they almost certainly don't make it through. But if they go in a caravan of more than 10 people, then they get through. And it's nothing. They say just a normal tunnel. Clean, quiet, empty. And there aren't any side passages. And there doesn't seem to be anywhere to disappear to. Not a soul, not a sound, not a beast to be seen. And then, the next day, someone will hear about it, that it's clean and easy, and they'll spit on the superstition and go into the tunnel alone. And there, peekaboo, now you see him, now you don't. You're saying you're saying something about a magician, Artyom quietly reminded him. I'm getting to the magician. Wait a minute, said Senya. So, here you have it. People are afraid to go alone through this tunnel to the south, and they look for companions at Silverskaya so they can go through together. And if there's not a market day there, then aren't many people, and sometimes they have to wait days and weeks until there are enough people to set off. So, more people, the safer the more safer. Leka says that sometimes meet really interesting people there. There are plenty of wastrels there too. You have to know how to differentiate between them. But sometimes you're lucky. So Leka meets this magician there. It's not what you think. Not some Hottabotch that comes out of a lamb. Hottabotch was a djinn, not a magician. Artyom carefully corrected him, but Xenia ignored his comment and continued. Nice. Ugh. Okay. The guy is an occultist. He spent half his life studying all kinds of mystical literature. He told Leka mostly about Castanadi. What? Cast and Ida. Okay, Castaneda, a chap. So the guy basically reads a lot and looks into the future, finds missing things, and knows about future dangers. He says that he sees spirits. Can you imagine? He even. Xenia paused dramatically. He even goes through the metro without a weapon. I mean, completely unarmed. He only has a penknife to cut up food, and he has a plastic staff too. See? So he says that everyone who takes weed and people who drink it too, they're all madmen because it is not what you think. Fuck. Because it is not what we think it is at all. It's not any kind of real weed. And the mushrooms, they aren't mushrooms either. Such toadstools had never grown in the central region before. Basically, one day I looked into a mushroom book, and it's true. There's not a word about the mushrooms, the kinds of mushrooms we have here. They're nothing even remotely like them. Those that eat it, thinking that it is just a hallucinogen, and they can watch cartoons on it, are totally mistaken, says the magician. And if you cook these toadstools in slightly different ways, then you can enter a state where it is possible to regulate events in the real world. I need another swig. That was a lot. Ugh. My throat is starting to hurt. I might read just this page and call it there. Because, oh boy, it's not happy. Ugh. Might be the water. Okay. Whew. That's quite a magician you have there. More like a drug addict, Artyom declared with conviction. A lot of people here play around with weed to relax, but as you know, no one has ever taken it to that degree. The guy is addicted, 100%. And he hasn't got long, I'd say. Listen, Uncle Sasha told me this story. There's some station, I don't remember which, where this old man he didn't know came up to him and started telling him that he has a powerful extra sense and that he is waging on an ongoing war with similar powerful psychics and aliens, only they are malicious and are almost defeating him, and he might not be able to fight them any longer, and all his strength was going into the fight. And the station, it was like Silverskaya, a kind of half station where people sit around campfires in the center of the platform, a ways off from the tunnel's mouth. They can get some sleep before they move on. And there's, let's say, were three guys that walked past his stepfather and the old man. The old man said to him in horror, "You see, there, that one in the middle, that one remained evil for psychos, discipline of the darkness, disciple of darkness. And either side of him are aliens. They're helping him. The leader lives at the deepest point of the metro." And he says basically that they don't want to come up to me because you're sitting with me. They don't want the regular people to know about our fight. But they're attacking me with their energy. Right now, I'm putting up a shield, he says. I will continue to fight. You think it's funny, but my stepfather didn't think it was funny at the time. Imagine in some godforsaken corner of the metro. Who knows what might happen? It sounds like rubbish. I know it all, but I know sounds like rubbish. I know, but all the same. And there's Uncle Sasha telling himself that this old man is crazy. But then the guy who is walking with the two aliens on the either side is looking at him meanly, and there's something flashing in his eyes. What crap? Xenia said disbelievingly. Crap it may be, but you well know that you should be prepared for anything at this stations. The old man says to him, that soon he, the old man that is, will face the final battle with evil psychics. And if he loses, his forces are less than theirs, and it's the end for everyone. Before he says there were more positive psychics, and the battleground was even. But now the negatives had started to conquer, and this old man was one of the last standing, maybe even the last standing. And if he was killed, then the evil ones will win, and that will be it. Checkmate. We're already at checkmate, in my opinion, Xenia observed. Well, let's say not total checkmate. There's still possibilities, Artyom replied. So in parting, the old man says to him, My son, give me something to eat, please. I have little strength left, and the final battle is coming nearer, and everyone's future depends on its outcome. Yours too. You get it? The old man was begging for food. That's your magician, I'd say. Also, lost some marbles, I'd say, but for another reason. Tea and honey sweet drink after stream. Yes, ma'am. I will 100% have that. I've got a bunch of tea, some chamomile tea, and some wild berries. I have some good stuff. I love tea. Tea is like my favorite thing. Okay. You're a total fool. You didn't even listen to the ending. And anyway, who told you that guy was lying? What was his name, by the way? Did your stepfather tell you? He told me, but I don't remember it exactly. Some kind of funny name. Starts with a chew. Could be Chum or Chump. Bums. Bums often have some kind of funny nickname instead of a real name. And what? What was the name of your magician? He told me Lekka. He told Lekka that they called him Carlos now because of the similarities. I don't know what it meant when he mentioned, but that's how he explained it. But you should listen to the end of the story. At the end of their conversation, he told Lekka that it's best not to go through the northern tunnels. Though Lekka was preparing to go back the next day, Lekka listened to him and didn't go. He was right. That day, thugs attacked the caravan in the tunnel between Silverskaya and Prospect Mir, even though it had been considered safe. Half of the traders were killed, the rest barely managed to fight them off. So there. Artyom went quiet and sank into thought. Well, genuinely speaking, it's possible to know. Anything can happen. Things like that could used to happen. Hi, Zero. Hi, pretty kitty. Hi, pretty baby. Just, I'm just grabbing him. You're in the way of chat. Meow. Oi, what are you doing? Thank you, precious boy. All right. Well, genuinely speaking, it's impossible to know anything can happen. Things like that used to happen. That's what my stepfather said. He also said that at most distant stations where people have gone wild and have become primitive, they've forgotten that man is a rational being, and the strangest things happen. Things that our logical minds wouldn't be able to explain. He wouldn't go into it, though. He wasn't even telling it to me. I just overheard by accident. Ha! I'm telling you, sometimes they describe things that normal people just wouldn't believe. Last time, shared another story with me. Want to hear it? You won't have heard this one from your stepfather, I'll tell you. A trader from the Silverskaya line told it to Lekka. So, do you believe in ghosts? Well, every time I talk to you, I start to wonder if I believe in them or not. But then, when I'm off on my own with other people, I come back to my senses, Archie replied, barely managing to hold back a smile. Are you serious? Well, I've read some things, of course, and Uncle Sasha has told me lots of stories. But if I'm honest, I really don't believe in all the stories in general. Xenia, I really don't understand you. Here at the station, we're living an unending nightmare with these dark ones. Something you don't find in any other parts of the metro, I bet. Somewhere in the center of the metro system, there are kids talking about our life here, telling scary stories and asking each other, do you believe the tales about the dark ones or not? And you go to this, and that means nothing. You want to scare yourself with yet more things? Yeah, but don't tell me that you're only interested in things that you can feel or see. You don't really think that the world is organized into things you can see and hear. Take a mole, for example. It doesn't see, it's blind from birth. But that doesn't mean that all the things that the mole doesn't see doesn't actually exist. That's what you're saying. Kitty. Okay, I think it's best to call it there. My throat is starting to hurt. So I will put this on this side of the page telling me that, hey, we're up to there. If I can remember. Hopefully I should. Anyway, thank you so much everyone for joining me today. I hope the music was helpful in some way. I will work more on this scene a bit more. Maybe we can get some of the redeems to work. Thanks for the reading, was much enjoyable. Thank you. I'm sorry for screwing up a couple times. sometimes when I'm reading, I look at some of the new words and I'm like, how do I say this? And then sometimes I read ahead thinking like, oh, they're still talking. And then I see a full stop and I'm like, shit, I need to take a breath. But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun. I'm sorry I was so late. I woke up and was like, I want to stay in bed. I want to watch Ivan. Ivan's chill. And Ivan convinced me. Oh, Ivan's stream kind of convinced me to get up and do stuff. And then Trevor messaged me and also convinced me to do stuff when I told him. It's Han Han. I enjoyed listening to you talk. Thank you. I appreciate it. I will attempt to try and get better. Oh, you know what? You know what I just realized? the the chat box that I was using was the wrong chat. Oh, that's funny. There we go. Now it's a lot better. I realized I used the wrong chat source. Could someone say something real quick? So I can test it to see if it. Yep, there it is. Fuck you. What do you mean, cute kitty? Anyway, that's all for today. So we have two people to raid into today. So we've got Tremor and we've got Laz. Not gonna lie, I kind of want to raid into Tremor. He's playing Big Walk at the moment, and I want to support the cute kitty if he exists. What do you mean? No! Ah! Do not loot the cat. Do not loot the cat. Anyway. Ooh, Big Walk. All right, Big Walk it is. No, fuck off ads. All right, we're gonna go right into Tremor. I love the lad. He's an amazing boy. Let's see. But yeah, what did you guys think of the music today? Do you think it was a good addition, or do you think it was kind of too much? I personally quite liked the music. I thought the music was interesting to add in. I've always liked type of slow and chill type of music. Helps set the scene, right? I loved it. It's good. All right. Tremor. Hunter. Alrighty. I will see you guys later. I love you all so, so much. I appreciate everyone for showing up here and hope you guys have an amazing day. Bye.